Welcome to the first history video. Yes, I said they were coming and they are here, and today we're going to be talking about the real life Bloody Mary. England's first queen, like proper, like, yeah, very first. When Americans hear the name Bloody Mary, they probably think of a tomatoey alcoholic cocktail or a woman who tries to kill you through a mirror. But here in England, we think of our first queen, Mary I. Mary was the only surviving child of Henry VIII and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, who he famously divorced and created the Church of England in order to marry Anne Boleyn, who also only gave him a daughter before he chopped her head off. So, obviously from the first marriage, Catherine of Aragon was Catholic, Henry was Catholic at the same time, so Mary herself was raised as a very strict Catholic. And obviously the whole creating of the Church of England, and it created a lot of bad feelings between Henry and his first wife, his first marriage, which he thought was impure, against God, is how he tried to, well, that's what he said, to try and get the divorce. It didn't work very well for him. So Mary had fallen out of favour, she'd basically been turned out from court, and it wasn't until Jane Seymour, wife of the Free, came in that she tried really hard to get Mary back in the favour with her father, and that was the first push into us getting Mary back into the line of succession after her younger brother Ed, who was Jane Seymour's child, though obviously Jane died just a couple of days after childbirth. When Henry VIII died, Edward, Jane Seymour's child, became king of the builders. Though Henry's sixth wife, Catherine Parr, had been very influential in getting both Mary and Elizabeth back into the line of succession. If Ed was to die young, childless, Mary would become queen, and if Mary was to die, then Elizabeth would become queen. And that is what happened, but with a few bumps, because many of the Protestants in England wanted to put Lady Jane Grey on the throne instead of Mary. Mary rallied up support, captured Lady Jane Grey, who was only queen for, they rounded up Lady Jane Grey and her co-conspirators, and they were thrown in the Tower of London, and basically Lady Jane Grey was accused of treason because she had signed her name as Queen Jane. What's that? And Mary had won Protestant support for her claim to the throne, and had promised that, Protestants will be fine, we'll let them live, but wasn't quite the case, as she started burning them as heretics, and over 250 were burned at the stake in something that's known as the Mariana prosecutions. And I actually done a little bit of maths on this. If I just grab my phone, I will show you how she definitely killed the most people out of all of the Tudor monarchs. And you think of Henry VIII as executing his wives and stuff, with Mary, the numbers. Whew. So the first two king was Henry VII, and he reigned for 24 years, and he killed 6 people. So the maths on that works out as minus 18 people a year, if you're averaging it to year. This is maths I've done, and I never do maths. Henry VIII, 38 years, 38 people was the numbers that I found, so that's 1 a year. Ed, 6 years, killed 7 people, that's 1.166 people a year. Mary, 5 years, and I've got 22 here, but obviously we know that she was responsible for burning 250 heretics at the stake as well. These are probably the people that were accused of treason and executed. So that's 4.4, and with Elizabeth you've got 39, 45 years minus 6. So these numbers aren't seeming right with the 250 people burning at the stake. These are just probably more public executions for plots and stuff. Okay, so Mary was quite old as a queen and unmarried, so at the age of 37 she started to look for a husband, preferably a Catholic husband, and people were quite keen for it to be English, but she chose Prince Philip of Spain, who would later go on to become King Philip II of Spain, who would launch multiple armadas against her sister's reign. Yeah, many people opposed this. It was like a very Catholic power couple marriage, so the Protestants hated it. People that were Catholics didn't really like the Spanish. They really preferred the British husband, the British English husband. So yeah, and Philip wasn't a very good husband either. He didn't like to spend too much time in England, and he was basically just there so he could expand his family's Catholic dynasty and monopoly over Europe. So with the opposition to the Spanish marriage came out the Wyatt Rebellion, which was led by Thomas Wyatt, I believe. He wanted to depose Mary and put Mary's younger sister, daughter of Anne Boleyn, Elizabeth, on the throne. So there were lots of people involved in this plot, including the Duke of Suffolk, who was Lady Jane Grey's father, and so Lady Jane Grey was supposedly involved as well, and they were finally executed. Jane had been in prison for a while, but finally Mary was like, yeah, you are dying today, as did Wyatt. And Elizabeth, Princess Elizabeth herself, was sent to the Tower of London. And then after that, because she was very popular amongst the Protestant people in England, as this rebellion kind of opposition showed. So Mary put her under house arrest at Woodstock Palace. Months and months passed, like we've gone past 9 now. No baby arrived, the swelling excess weight kind of started to vanish, and Mary had never been pregnant. And Philip didn't care. He just went off back to Spain or somewhere, left poor Mary. She was heartbroken. She really loved her husband, but it was pretty obvious that he didn't really care about her. And this wasn't the first time this was going to happen to Mary, because a second false pregnancy was reported, and this lady a second false pregnancy was reported, and again to no avail. So Mary kind of gave up and accepted that Elizabeth would be her successor. Now, she'd been trying to sway Elizabeth into being Catholic. She'd been making Elizabeth do Catholic rites and stuff, and was trying to get Elizabeth to promise that if Elizabeth was to become queen after her, Elizabeth would rule Catholic. And Elizabeth kind of was like, yeah, of course, sister, because Mary's health was declining at this point. But obviously she didn't. As soon as Elizabeth became queen, the Protestants were back in power, and she would have another Catholic Mary to deal with. Yeah, see, brought my over in the Scots in. Knew I would. They're cousins, Catholic cousin Marys. So then eventually Mary died, and her death is probably what was causing this kind of pregnancy symptoms, because it was discovered she had ovarian cysts and uterine cancer, and it was probably like tumours and swellings that had been mistaken for pregnancy symptoms. So Princess Elizabeth was made queen, and that's a different story. So yeah, she had a relatively short reign, obviously not as short as Ed's, but definitely the second shortest Tudor reign, but still managed to kill a lot of people. Though the phrase bloody kind of, you would think, refers more to the hacking of limbs and blood, maybe the beheading, but as a Catholic, Catholics quite favoured burning, so she actually burned a lot of people, 250-ish people burned as heretics, which is obviously for practicing the wrong religion, religious heretics. So yeah, not that much, not quite as messy as a beheading, but still 250 in the Mariana prosecutions, which I probably should look more into that in detail, the specifics of it, but still. That was the story of the real Bloody Mary. And I know in Shane Dawson's video he talked about how she lost a baby, like he was talking about Bloody Mary, the ritual Bloody Mary, in relation to Mary I, and how she lost a baby, and that she was wondering, like, when you summon her through the mirror, she's trying to find her baby. But Mary was very aware that her pregnancies weren't pregnancies, and there was never a baby in the end. So it's just kind of out of desperation you go along with it. Catherine of Aragon had similar things with her pregnancies, wanting it to be a son for the baby to... I think Catherine of Aragon herself also had a fake pregnancy. I think that was within Lucy Wolsey's Six Wives documentary. Yeah, this has been the story of Bloody Mary. Bye.